right, so we should start by telling you what standard form is, which we kind of already know. Ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay. How am I going to graph that? I don't have a transformation because there's no hk. I don't have readily accessible x-intercepts because it's not factored. I might not want to convert it to vertex form, and I might not be able to factor it. So we're going to have to do an alternative. All right? Now, we're going to do it by example, I think, but we're going to say the y-intercept. Okay? What would the y-intercept be of this graph? Plug in 0. C. Just going to sketch a little picture here. C. Okay? I'm going to draw a concave up graph. Okay, notice that the graph has some symmetry, as do all parabolas. And there's a little line that goes down the middle. Obviously, this point here, that would be the vertex. Okay? There's a symmetric point on this graph. It's right here. See the symmetry? If there's a y-intercept here, there is a symmetric point, and the vertex goes right down the middle of the symmetric point. Okay. Graph. I'm going to walk you through it. Y equals okay, 1/2 x squared minus 4x plus 1. The first step is going to be to find a point on the graph. I'm trying to find the easiest point on the graph. When I have vertex form, I find the vertex because that's the point that's sitting in the equation. When I have intercept form, I start with the intercept because all I'm doing is taking the two numbers out of the equation. Notice the only number here that I can take out is the c value. So find the y-intercept. Okay, that means plug in 0. Okay, 0, 1. Okay, I got a point on the graph. Great. I still need to figure out where the other points are. The second thing we're going to do is find the symmetric point. Just going to leave my grid over here. Okay. Right now I've got this. That's all I've got right now. I know there's a parabola here. Okay? I know it's concave up. Maybe it looks like this. Maybe it looks like this. Right? There's a parabola that is concave up going through that point. I would like to figure out where the other point is. Notice the symmetry. It has the same y coordinate. Okay? So we are going to try to find where that symmetric point is. Okay. Y equals 1. Why am I choosing 1? Because that's the point that I already have on the graph. I'm choosing the y-intercept. So let's substitute 1 for the y coordinate. And solve. Okay, solve this equation. Well, it's a quadratic. Your choices are isolate, factor, or complete the square. Which do you choose? Factor. Factor what? What am I going to factor out? X. Yeah, X. Just X, guys. The GCF is X. Just factor the X out. Okay. Set each factor to 0. Okay, I don't want you dividing, by a fraction. I would like you multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay. Unfortunately, standard form is kind of the most tedious one to graph. It just is. None of the points are really that easy to find. Okay, so what did I just find? I figured out that when y is 1, x is 0. It's a point on the graph, which I actually already have there. But I also figured out that when y is 1, x is 8. That is a point on the graph over here at 8. 8, 1. There's my symmetric point. Okay, you're like, well, I still need the vertex. Yeah, you do. Okay, so the H. This is where it's going to be similar to vertex form. You've got the symmetric points. Now find out where the center is. 0 and 8. So halfway is x equals 4. There's my axis of symmetry, halfway. You can half any pair of symmetric points. With intercept form, we always just half between the intercepts, but that's because they're symmetric points. They're equal distance from the center. Equal distance from the center. Okay? How do I find K? The same way you did last class. Plug it in. And connect the dots in a nice, smooth, concave up way. Yeah, there's kind of a lot of steps, okay? But the good part is finding H and K is very similar to what you did with intercept form. All right, look at what we did. Questions. First, I found the y-intercept because that's the easiest point to pull off the graph. Then I was like, I need to find the symmetry of the parabola. So I started with the y-coordinate of 1, because that's the only y-coordinate I knew. And I substituted and I solved. And I put my points together. Once I go back and I look at the graph, then I'm not really looking at my equation. I'm really looking at it graphically, okay? If I have 2 points, I half them, then I find the coordinate. Could you count ratios? Yeah, that's fine. Could you also plug it in? Yes. This is a half. You can count your values for a half. it still works. Okay, that's choice number 1. Did you memorize anything besides like find the y-intercept, find the symmetry? No. The second option has a formula that you have to memorize. So it's up to you which one you prefer. Okay? Choice number 2. And I'm going to use fractions so that you have a chance to see it with the arithmetic that's a little bit more difficult. And then I'll give you practice with a little bit simpler. Okay, so we're going to graph. Y equals negative 1/3 x squared plus 4x plus 5. And I'm looking at that equation. I don't think I want to complete the square. That would be convert it to vertex form. Okay? I don't think I can factor with a 1/3 in front. Like maybe, but it's kind of tricky, so I don't think I want to do that. That leaves you with graphing in standard form. Okay, our first step starts with the h. That's the x-coordinate of the vertex. And it's a formula. It's called negative b over 2a. It's up to you which you want to memorize. Okay? But I will tell you that opposite b over 2a is not really something new. How many of you know your quadratic formula? Everybody? Okay, guys. That's it. That part of your quadratic formula is the center of the graph. Think about that vertex form we just wrote with those radical and those imaginary roots. That number ended up being the center of your graph. That's because with your intercepts, you add a distance and you minus a distance. That's the center. That's the center of your graph. Opposite b over 2a. Okay, so let's find it. Opposite b over 2a. The only downside is, yes, you've got a little bit of fraction here that you have to work with. So let's see what we can do. You should not divide by a fraction. You should multiply by the reciprocal. So h equals 6. 6. Okay, h is 6. There's my axis of symmetry. Right there. In this particular choice, I'm starting at the center of the graph. Your second step, find K. Find K. Put your vertex on the graph. There's no shortcut to K. You just plug it in. That's it. There it is. 617. Can someone give me any other point to put on this graph? 0, 5. Yeah, it's sitting right there. Use it. 0, 5. How about the third point? 12, 5. See the symmetry, guys? I would probably put a little dotted line down the center of my graph because you want to make sure you reflect over the actual center. And connect in a concave down shape. Okay, two choices. I don't care which one you pick. They are equal. Okay? You just have to remember different things for each choice. If you are amazing at complete the square every time, and then you've got vertex form. Go for it. Why not? You have to label the vertex no matter what graph you give me. So if you want to complete the square every time, you can do that. All I need is the vertex and a few points. Okay, pull out your whiteboards. Keep your notes handy so you can reference your examples. Okay, make a choice. Pick one of the methods and try it. Good. Okay, I will simplify the numbers to make the examples a little faster. Okay. Y equals x squared plus 4x plus 1. Okay, try it. Keep your homework packet out. As you get these examples quicker, you can start worksheet 5, guys, which is your homework. Okay? As you get through these examples faster, you can start your homework so that you're not wasting time. You're still finding the same 3 points, you're just finding them in a different order.
I don't understand.
Okay. Yeah. That's totally fine. The numbers are easier. You're not going to get out of the arithmetic. You're going to have to plug something in with fractions regardless if there's a fraction. So if you can complete this way, opposite b over 2. Yes. That's not factors. GCF. Should be concave up, Matt. Matt, should be concave up. Okay, so check. That's a good check on did I get my points in the right place? Because your intercept, your y-intercept is good. Check your vertex. It should be below the y-intercept. Yes. Take x is the GCF.
Wait, it used to be.
Uh-huh.
Hold on. Now, negative 4 plus 1 over 2 negative 3 over 2.
0. You're good.
Wait, so what do I do after this?
You're missing a y. That's why. You lost your line.
And then you need 2.
Okay.
2. And now I plug in. No way. Wait, hold on.
Yes. Right, guys, as you get it, switch to homework worksheet 5. So I want to make sure everyone gets it before we do too many.
Wait, no way. Come on.
-2.
So both? Your coordinates are backwards?
-2.
But
Square.
yes. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do it. So, sure. Okay, so h equals negative b over 2a. 2 times 1. So that's negative 2. K equals positive 4 minus 8 plus 1. Okay, so my vertex is negative 2, negative 3.
That's 11.
And my y-intercept is 0, 1. Okay, but
No.
I didn't put my axis of symmetry. Plugged in 0, right? What's the next easiest point to get in standard form? The y-intercept. I would suggest making that vertex, like label it with a V so you know where the center of your graph is. Then you can reflect your other point, -4, 1, and connect the dots. Make sure you get the right concavity. Easiest mistake is you get the wrong sign on your vertex. Okay, I'll leave that up there a little bit.
Oh my god, that's a +4.
Okay, so the other choice is the y-intercept is 0, 1. Okay, so I start here. I set it equal to 1, and I solve, and I get x plus 4. Okay, so be careful because these are not intercepts. This was me setting it equal to 1. That means that my points are not zeros. They're 0, 1, and -4, 1. You actually end up with the exact same points no matter which method. You just get them in a slightly different order. Okay. I'll leave it here. Try this one. Okay. Y equals 3x squared minus 6x minus 4. Okay, your choice. Once you get it, start your homework. 1755. Okay. It's easier on a grid to see it, but let me draw a grid in so you can see it. Okay, this point is 2 units from the center. Symmetry says that other point is also 2. So it's easier on a grid to see it, but so notice this was plus 2 units. This has to be minus 2. Okay. All right, give it a try. Yes.
I don't get how you got the middle two because I'm doing -5.
Oh, I think that was. Which one?
Number 1. Did I just put it?
Oh.
Wait.
This one? Which one? Yeah, this one. No.
I was doing this one, but I think I just put randomly put it like half.
I think you did too, because I
Yeah.
didn't have a
Okay, great.
half. Which would change the vertex, which would change everything.
Yeah.
I'm coming, Sarah. I see.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
how she got -3. I'm an idiot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's skinnier, right?
I just fixed the first one. You know?
H is 1. K is not -1. Check your signs. Yes. Yes. What?
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's your signs that you messed up. Exponent first, then multiply. That number should be. Okay, yeah, so PEMDAS, exponent first, so 1 squared, then times 3. You have to divide. Okay, you gotta do this first, not this. Okay, so, here we go. First, second, okay, notice how that's still blank. Third, actually, I guess it's 3. What number goes here? 1. What number goes here? 3. Does that make sense? Because it's not going to factor correctly if you put the because it wouldn't become a perfect square triangle, right? Yeah. Yes. It should be -7. Okay, so PEMDAS 3 times 1 squared. So 1 squared, then 3. That's all. Okay. Yeah. No, you've already counted for K because you're going to count from the vertex. So you don't need to actually. Okay, fine. 0, 4, 2, 2. Those are actual points on the graph if you want to do it. If you want to count from the vertex, then you can count from the vertex. But just make sure you know which points you want because what you did is right. Okay?
And so then you just solve for that.
Okay, here we go. H equals opposite B over 2A, so it's just 1, okay? K equals PEMDAS, means I do my exponent first. So 3 minus 10, -7. Okay, 1, -7. And my y-intercept, I like to mark my axis here, is -4. So this is 2, -4. Okay. All right. We have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. About 30 minutes left. I would like to do about 20 minutes of review. All right, so keep your homework out. We will try to answer your intercept questions, but I'm going to focus more on vertex form review, and then we'll do our quiz, and we'll answer any extra questions if we've got time. Okay, here we go. You can do it on the whiteboard, it's fine. How about just graph? Y equals, sure, why not? 1/2 x minus 3 squared minus 5. How would you graph? Okay, vertex form. You can do it.
Oh, vertex?
Yeah, that's vertex form. Graph it. How would you do it?
Wait, how do that?
Yeah, just try.
Oh, this is a super easy one. Oh, dude. We went back to this one?
Yeah, your quiz is on vertex form, so I want to like remind you of what you're doing.
This is the easy one?
Well, it's not easy.
Yeah, I'm like,
That's the first question. Graph it. That is the easy question.
of course, I forgot the easy one.
One.
How did I forget this? It's like the
Is it okay if it's 4 5?
If what?
Because the parent function is 1 to 1, and if you multiply that by half, it's
That's fine. Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my vertex.
oh, that's the vertex.
3, 5. Okay. Or sorry, 3, -5. Now for my points. Okay, so it's not on a grid, so it makes it a little bit trickier to see. Okay. There's my grid. How do I do a half? Well, I know that my count values are perfect squares. And this is the x and this is the y. This is the vertex. That's the vertex. If I want to go over 1, besides it being concave up, I'm only going to go up a half because all of these have to be multiplied by a. I'm only going to plot these. I really don't care about those half points. I just would like to see the integer coordinates. So I'm going to count far enough out where I get the points that are integers. So over 2, up 2. Now they don't fit over here, so I'm going to use my symmetry and plot the other points. Okay, so if I count over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, I count up 8. And I connect. Concave up. That's because I multiplied by a half my perfect squares, and I chose to only plot this one and this one.
What if I wanted to plot one?
You could, but they're not integers. So you could plot 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. So my graph isn't quite accurate. But yes, you can plot more, but you should be able to plot integers.
Yes.
Okay.
The parent function's 1.
Here you go. I would like you to write this in vertex form. Okay, that's the tricky one. I have to give you the prompt.
Wait, don't we just put 3 as x and then 5?
Hold on, I have to give you the equation. 2x squared plus 4x plus 3.
Wait, using the question from
No, right here. Nope, complete the square. Write it in vertex form.
Wait, isn't that standard form going to vertex?
It is.
So how is
I want you to write this in vertex form. The answer should look like this.
that? Just complete the square.
Okay, I'll do the first line.
No, it's just
That's the first line. Okay. You figure out what goes in the red area. I'll put some squares, right? I got a balance here. There's my balance. Have to keep everything equal. Actually, I'm going to put my squares above it.
You multiply back.
You do.
Okay.
It's a good question. Okay. So I have 2 halves. This is going to be a plus 1. But if I look at this, I really have, right? The first half is the yellow part, which is really 2x squared plus 4x plus 2. See the distribution? The pink part is the plus 3. I really added 2 to the yellow. I need to minus 2 from the pink if it's gonna stay the same. You kind of have to backtrack a little bit to figure out what that number is.
Yep.
Look at that redistribution. Is the pink and the yellow square together equal to the thing I started with? That's the whole point. It needs to be equal to the thing you started with. So I spaced it out and I got rid of, this is the number I'm trying to find. But the yellow part is factored, so it becomes a perfect square trinomial. And factor it. There's your vertex form. How do you graph in vertex form? I mean, if you want, you can complete the square. Might not be nice, but you could still do it. Okay, so let's do another one. We'll do another one. Okay, I'll leave that one up here so you can still look at it if you would like. Okay, complete the square. I want the answer in vertex form. Oh, no parentheses. You guys do have to do the parentheses. Okay. 2x squared minus 6 minus 8x minus 5. Okay. Complete the square. Gotta do the setup. Find your number. Notice that we're on the same side. Okay. Plus 8 minus. Yeah. Yes,
Then minus b. Okay. And 2.
This
So just
we will probably do that one next class. We'll know more about all three forms. Should be
Negative.
okay. No, it's half and squared. Actually, the 4
here,
and
we have 4.
and then
Then 4 times 4.
Uh-huh.
You multiply by 2.
Minus 2.
Yeah, so you don't.
No, not for that
You have to
number.
multiply this back
Yes,
in.
minus 2. Should be minus.
No, you do.
Oh, it's the other one.
No, you have to multiply it back in. That's probably it.
You only multiply on this one.
Not this one, you don't multiply it back to the next one.
There it is here.
Because then you're just.
I don't need that number.
You go back to like whatever
A.
half was. When you do
H.
Yeah, but look, if you take this equation right
This
here,
is the plus 1.
2x is the same as the division equation if you add up this and subtract from that.
This.
Yeah.
2x, yeah. So,
Yeah, but that's the same thing with this. You're just checking. You have to keep it in this one, because this one's not enough. Keep it in parentheses.
I know, but
Right, that's
it does
a
not matter.
note
You
to
know,
myself.
Then that is
Yeah, fine.
well, because you just go back to whatever half the base was. Maybe the one divided by half is negative 2.
That was easy, man. Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing back. Yeah, I like completing the square. Who says that? My hobby is completing the square in algebra too.
I like completing the square better.
If you multiply that out, you get that.
Did you get
I think I already asked you, what did you put on it? Said Netflix or something.
Yeah, I started much.
That's because it was.
Yeah, that's what I
I
thought.
think you guys are right.
And it was an equation we were
Why are
providing.
you? Why are you?
Because I want to know what I did wrong.
You're arguing. Because
You're not
you
making
read
any
that.
sense.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you're
Nice.
multiplying
That's
that
it.
out. You don't
Oh,
have to multiply
okay.
it out. You're
Minus,
just checking
minus.
here to see if
Yes.
it's-
All right.
Wait.
Should be a minus 13.
Yeah, but what did...
Because you times by. All right, so I'll tell you why. So right here, your first step, watch this, should be a minus 4. That's your first step. Divided by 2. Half it, square it. Half it, square it. This is really a plus 8, so I need a minus 8. Right? That's my little note to myself. That's what I really added. And complete it. Minus 2 squared minus 13. Okay. Another one. This time I'm going to put a negative in front. Okay. Y equals. Yeah. Okay. Minus 3x squared minus 6x plus 1. Okay, and then I'm going to put 1 with a fraction. These are our last two. Okay. Right after these, we'll start getting cleaned up for our quiz, which will start in about 10 minutes. Okay.
Stop saying that. You're so weird.
Yes, I can.
say that like every class, and I have no idea who the heck that kid is. And like, I really honestly don't care because I'll probably never see him in my life. Exactly. Exactly. I don't care about him if I don't know who he exists.
I need A, H, and K. Or how do you get there?
All you have to do is
Half it and square it. That number and square it. Okay. What I really do is
See, I'm a TikTok father. Huh?
so what I
Is this what you got?
He's told me I'm funky. Please tell me
They
I
don't have to
not
be the
just
same
see
number, they just have to represent the same
That's
quantity.
just good.
So you like,
Okay?
oh my
So
gosh.
try that.
What did you
Okay, weird
Can you
annotation.
chill for a second? Like, holy smokes. What? How do you get a 2?
Hold on, I have the answer.
Oh, you didn't you have to times the negative. I know.
Yes, Nana,
Wait,
that's right.
wait.
Yeah, plus 1. Should be a +1 and then a +4. Yes. Yes.
Wait, is it plus?
Should be a +4 for the K.
You're just mad. Hey, just solve the equation. It's not that hard. See, Anna's just jealous of that. What did you even say?
Wait, Anna, did you get the answer right? Yes. Dang it. Wait. I got the answer. It's not plus.
Yeah, complete the square. It's so much fun.
Wait, I got the same answer.
So, oh wait, sorry, hold on. Let me go look at this.
Excuse you.
Hold on, I gotta check the second answer.
I got it. On this one.
No way, no way, no way.
No, it should be a -4 +2.
So it's +3.
Wait.
Okay.
What's the piece?
It should be a +2 on the outside. Yes. Should be a minus. Oh no! You didn't do your middle term again. Okay, here we go. -3. Okay, when I divide a negative out, my sign changes. Right, now I start with my blanks being opposites as like a reminder. And so +1. But this is really a -3, means this is gonna be a +3. Look at that negative in front. Okay, +1. I'm drawing the arc so you can see the distribution. The first half is really getting a -3. And so the second half gets a +3. Okay, I'm going to set up this first one here. When you divide this -1/2 out, you're going to get a -8. Yeah, okay, redistribute for me. Does this line equal this line? Yeah. Got to make sure that middle term is actually taken into account. How do you divide by half? Is you multiply by 2. When you factor a number out. Okay, but just check your. When I write this out, redistribute and be like, okay, I did it right. Right? Just redistribute before you continue to make sure you're in the right place. I get +2 for the K value. Okay, so half it, square it. Half it, square it. Okay, hold on. So when I do this, I get a -8, so this turns into a +8. I think, yeah? Okay, I'm going to... Redistribute. Okay, -1/2 x squared plus 4x. when you redistribute it, it needs to equal the line above it. Okay? I'll finish it and then I'll show you something else. Okay. X minus 4 squared plus 2. Okay, really you've got about 3 or 4 minutes. You have to be able to graph in vertex form, write the equation, and complete the square. You might want to look over worksheet 2 just to peruse it, but start cleaning up your supplies, whiteboards, markers in the desk.